Hey there, that's Andrew. This is part B extended of my Universal God talk. So I'm gonna try to help you understand, like not from a mortal understanding, but from a more universal understanding, as in like beyond our beyond our finite um, restrained God in a box worldview, um, what beyond that. So this is the beyond is really, and I'm gonna be frank. Um, as a follower of Jesus, I do believe and trust His words when in Scripture he talks about. And I mean, I believe God has revealed this as truth. The universal God, not my own worldview or box, if you will. But in Scripture, Jesus teaches that, and when we come to Him before the judgment throne, that if we don't have a personal relationship with God, I'm talking about the beyond. I'm not talking about our worldview. I'm not talking about the box we live in. I'm not talking about our finite experience or whatever. I'm talking about beyond all that, beyond the whole world's concept, however that manifests, of God, beyond all that. If we don't have a relationship, a personal relationship with the beyond, we're kind of screwed. And he also teaches that our reward will be on this mortal plane. We won't get an eternal reward, whatever that may be. I'm not going to sit here and explain all that. I don't really think it matters at the end of the day. What matters is there's more, and there's a beyond, and there's some sort of afterlife. I'm not talking about getting an insurance policy. I'm talking about, like, if we have a relationship with this beyond, then the world will kind of fall away. We will be freed from the shackles and bondages of worldly agenda. And that's coming from anywhere and everywhere in all directions, including the church. And we may be in a church right now with those worldly agendas or their own specific agendas. And my experience with it, with the church and the religion, Christianity, and people who really use that as their box. They don't want you to be free in thought. They don't want you to be questioning things. They don't want you to be, come to the realization that really none of it matters. The only thing that matters is my relationship with God or the beyond. I'm talking about the true beyond God. As Jesus says, it doesn't matter where we worship. It really doesn't even matter what we believe in, what our boxes are. What matters if we believe in God and worship God in truth and spirit. He doesn't really elaborate on that. What I do believe he means is we have to go beyond our own understanding, because our understanding in Proverbs, when it's revealed that we shall not lean on our own understanding. And so God, the universal God, does use Scripture. And I think it's to some degree all of Scripture around the world, whether that's, I'm going to take people would question this stance because they don't really have a relationship with the beyond. They have a relationship with their religion, right? Their box. So the universal God will use whatever means necessary to get his truth across, whether he has to use the Quran, whether he has to use Sanskrit, Buddhist writings, teachings of Siddhartha Gautama, the Buddha. I don't really care. I don't really care. The beyond is using anything and everything to speak His truth. I too believe, as a follower of Jesus, that God really did reveal His full truth through the man of Jesus and His teachings, and consequently, He ensured that truth was revealed in Scripture and contained in the Scriptures, the Bible. But I do believe that God of the universe and the great beyond will use any sort of writing around the world to bring us to that truth as well, and or to a place where we can go, okay, I've got to have a relationship with the beyond, not the box, whether it's Islam or Hinduism or Buddhism. Buddhism can be a box, yeah. Any religion, any sort of belief system can become a box, and it can be a point of power and control. Well, you have to agree with me to be saved, or you have to agree with my theology to be saved, or you have. And so, man, I'm running into boxes of all shapes and sizes and all forms. And really, Jesus, at the end of the day, Jesus Himself teaches we must dismantle these boxes. Paul teaches as well that we must align with Christ, and we must die to our old ways, which includes our boxes, which includes being right, which includes having that control over what the truth is. We have to let go of all that to have this, to go, you know what, I'd rather give up all that and have a relationship with an infinite being of unknown quantity, of a mysterious state. And I've got to trust that creator of all things, that whatever that being is the truth. And that, I think now we're circling back to the truth and spirit. So like God, the universal creator, that's the truth. And no boxes around that. So that the truth is there's the creator, the source of all things. So if I'm to find my true self, going back to, now we're circling back to our own humanity. I didn't create myself. I don't know who I am without that truth. I'm allowing worldly agendas and culture and whatever other boxes there are. And I've written some stuff down I'll share momentarily and going a little bit deeper, but excuse me. I just want to really hammer down that we have to just unlearn everything. And the Buddha taught this as well. I mean, we really do have to unlearn everything. We do have to let go of all these boxes to have that relationship, or else we just won't. And we'll want to control people. We'll want to control the narrative. We'll want to be right, and everybody else is wrong. And that's just simply not. That's a lie. That is a lie. 8 billion people on the planet. I'm not right over 8 billion people, and neither are you. So that's really the reality of it. Okay, so I've drawn a couple diagrams here. I'm going to switch my camera. I'm going to try to do my best to kind of explain these. They're very crude, so forgive me. I just kind of wrote them out the other day. There's a couple things I want to talk about. First off is really the kind of a concept that will help you understand the universal God, or the beyond, the ultimate reality. So, and we can call God whatever is good for you. I mean, if we need to call it the beyond, the mysteriousness, a huge one a lot of the world uses, especially Buddhism, is ultimate reality. Even science and physics would call it the fifth dimension. There's 5 dimensions, but they would say the fifth dimension because that's where And I'll go into a little bit more detail when I bring up the diagram, or the aid here, my very crude aid. But physics and metaphysics would ascertain that there's a fifth dimension. And in this fifth dimension, infinite possibilities of universes exist. And out of this fifth dimension, specifically, we're dealing with our universe. Our universe has unfolded from this fifth dimension. So when you hear things like the Big Bang, that would be the alpha or the beginning of our unfolding. Now, Jesus also in Scripture referred himself to as the Alpha and the Omega in Revelation. So we can learn something from that as well. So there's an Alpha, okay, and there's already an Omega. So we have an Alpha and Omega already. The beginning and the end has already happened, and everything in between. So, looking at the unfolding, our whole universe, past, present, and future, all unfolded at the same time in an instant. So, which is I could go further into some concepts, and that's really hard, and for a finite being, that's really hard to conceive. We don't understand that because we're not a fifth dimensional being. We're not this all powerful, all knowledgeable. We're not this source. We're not this ultimate reality, which is coming from the fifth dimension. And that, to me, and I'll go into it. I promise. That is what our relationship will be, the beyond in this fifth dimension. We can bring ourselves there, actually. We're created from that. We came from that. We pretty much, this is pretty deep. This is pretty deep, and you and I have always existed. Always. You and I have existed even when the Pilgrims set forth on American soil or this continent. You and I existed. We will still exist and have always existed even after our death in time, because it all unfolded at once. So even though people, this is really trippy, but it's really true. So like, say we're 80 years old. Maybe I'm 80 and I'm in the future. My past self is already that is still existing. It all unfolded at the exact same time. The only reason I don't understand that and I'm finite is because of time, and we're in a fixed position. But my past self and my future self are all coexisting at all times. So everybody that has been alive or will be alive already exists. The Alpha and the Omega, it has all unfolded. So this is really important we have to discard the finiteness. We have to get to a place where I say, I can't rely on any of this anymore. I have to only rely on the ultimate reality, or God, or the Creator, to really be who I am. I'm going to say something a little on edge here. I think what I learn now and what I open myself up to now may also have an effect on all my selves. I'm really contemplating that now. It's like, maybe there's an imprint of what I learned. I open myself up to the beyond, I'm like, man, that I get that beyond's the only way to find my true self, to be my true self, unfettered by the worldly agendas around me. I really hope and pray that has an effect on a past self. A past self that may have not unfolded yet from the fifth dimension. That's pretty deep. And you know, and that goes into hearing people talk about their past selves or they've lived a life before, and I think that feeds into that. I used to be kind of skeptical, but now that I'm actually really resonating with it and thinking about it, it really sounds legitimate. Um, Maybe that past self was also their future self, and that experience or that openness or that learning experience has now kind of resonated with this other self who is that person, but from a different unfolded universe. Anyway, I digress. So I'm going to get to my first diagram. I told you I wrote a crappy one out, so I'm going to try to explain things the way I've talked about things. I've kind of written it out. So let me switch this camera. I think I can switch it. I might have to do a new video. All right, I'm going to do a new video, but this time I'll be talking about the diagram and what I wrote, and then I'll do another video with my other diagram, and it'll hopefully piece everything together I've said. So here we go. Diagram video coming up.